Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into a devotional called God is Our Defender. We're focusing on a passage from 2 Kings 19, specifically verses 20 to 37.
And really centering on that key verse, verse 34. I will defend this city and save it for my sake and for the sake of David my servant. Powerful stuff.
It really is. So our goal here is to explore how this, ancient text still speaks to us today, especially when we feel completely overwhelmed.
Yeah, like that feeling is universal, isn't it? And the historical context here is King Hezekiah facing the massive Assyrian threat. The odds were, they looked insurmountable.
Totally. Just impossible. And I think everyone listening can relate to that feeling of facing a challenge that just seems way too big.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So how does this devotional unpack it? What's the first big idea?
Okay, so the first lesson, essentially, is that answered prayers really showcase God's glory. It's about his response to Hezekiah's prayer delivered through Isaiah.
Right. And what's key, according to the devotional, is why God steps in. It's not really because Judah was strong or, particularly deserving at that moment. It emphasizes that God acts to defend his own name, his reputation, and to demonstrate his power precisely when things look hopeless from a human perspective.
That really changes things, doesn't it? It suggests our moments of weakness aren't just weaknesses.
Exactly. They can actually become these opportunities, these spaces where a greater power is revealed.
But what about when you pray and, nothing seems to happen? Or not right away?
That's a really important question. The devotional brings that up, the need for persistence in prayer. Keep praying, even when you don't see immediate results.
Okay.
And it also suggests maybe shifting the focus of the prayer. So instead of just, please take this problem away, maybe asking, how can your glory be seen in this struggle?
That's a different angle.
It is. And, there's also power in sharing those stories when prayers are answered. It builds faith for others.
Yeah, encouragement.
The core message seems to be trust in God's faithfulness, because that's a much more solid foundation than just relying on your own strength or ability.
That makes a lot of sense, looking beyond just the problem itself. Okay, so that leads us into the second main takeaway from this devotional.
Which is all about God's timing. God delivers, yes, but in his perfect timing, which often isn't ours.
Right. The story itself is dramatic. The Assyrian army just wiped out. Overnight, no battle.
Exactly. The devotional really highlights how unexpected that was, both the way it happened and when it happened. It wasn't something Hezekiah could have predicted or engineered.
We all have our timelines, don't we? Our plans for how things should work out.
We do. And this story, as interpreted here, really pushes back on that. It points to needing patience when answers seem delayed.
So, fighting that urge to panic or give in to fear when things drag on.
Precisely. Resisting fear and instead trying to find rest and security in God's promises, rather than just frantically trying to fix everything ourselves or sticking rigidly to our own plans.
It's about trust again, then.
Absolutely. Trusting that even if God's methods and timing seem strange or slow to us, they are, in the end, perfect, even when we can't possibly see how in the moment.
Okay, so let's recap the main points from this devotional's look at 2 Kings 19.
We've got two core ideas. First, answered prayer isn't just about getting what we want. It's often about revealing God's glory, especially in our weakness.
And second, God's promised deliverance comes, but it operates on his perfect timing and often in ways we don't expect. Patience and trust are key.
And it all circles back to that verse 34. I will defend this city and save it.
For my sake and for the sake of David, my servant. Yeah. It really underscores that it's about his character, his promises, not necessarily about the people involved being perfect or strong.
Right. It's centered on God himself.
So a final thought for you listening. Maybe think back to a time you felt really defenseless facing something huge.
Yeah, like Hezekiah, even if the details are totally different.
Exactly. How might these ideas, God's glory being revealed, his timing being different but perfect, how might they offer you, maybe, a new way to look at that situation? Or even find some hope?
It's definitely something worth considering, how this ancient story might connect with challenges today.